Hello guys, and today I'm finally going to show you how to get through all the Halloween bosses as quickly as possible without wasting a lot of time on long battles. Because many still complain that they can't even get through the first one. But before I show you everything, be sure to watch the video to the end, because at the end I'll tell you about something really strange that I found in the game files, a file called Pumpkin Boss 3. It shouldn't be there at all, and most likely it's a hint of something that isn't there yet in the game. I'll tell you all my guesses and show you the evidence, so don't rewind, because if you miss even a second, then you won't understand what I'm talking about. So first, about the fight itself. To complete all the bosses in the shortest possible time, use exactly the weapons that I will list now. In the first round, where there is a regular pumpkin boss, just take a minigun and increase the damage and number of bullets to the maximum. So you'll destroy him in just a couple of seconds, and he won't even have time to do anything. In the second round, where the cyborg pumpkin boss appears, arm yourself with staff. He does a great job with his lightning attacks, and you can win without any problems. But the third stage, where little pumpkin appears, is already more difficult because he is constantly moving. Protogun will help you here to increase the damage and the speed of shots, and you will be able to destroy it in just a few moments. According to one of the subscribers, if you do everything right, you can go through all the bosses in less than a minute. He wrote to me in the comments that he just increased the damage of the minigun and protogun, added more bullets, and all three bosses disappeared almost instantly. But that's not the most interesting part. The fun starts next, because after I started checking the game files to see if anything new had been added, I came across one file that really surprised me. At first I thought it was some kind of bug or an old leftover from previous updates, but when I opened it, it turned out that there was a model of the new boss. And it's called Pumpkin Boss 3. It sounds like a joke, but I'm going to show you that it really exists. Therefore, be sure to watch to the end, because next we will try to figure out who it is in general, when it appears, and why the developers have not mentioned it in any way in the updates so far. Perhaps this is the final boss of the Halloween event that no one has seen yet. And now the fun begins. If everything was more or less clear before, an ordinary boss, then a cyborg, then small pumpkins, and now everything becomes much more confusing. There is a new file in the game files called Pumpkin Boss 3, and it looks completely different from what we are used to. His head is cracked, half metal, as if someone had reassembled him from the wreckage of the previous two bosses. And the question immediately rises, who did this at all? Maybe this is the main antagonist of the Halloween update, which the developers haven't said a word about yet. Or perhaps it was us who accidentally created it by our actions when we passed the first two bosses. After all, if you think about it, every time after defeating them, new lines and new objects appeared in the game code. It was as if the game was reacting to what we were doing. And now she just collected everything that we used against previous enemies' guns, staffs, protogons, and turned it into a new, improved boss. And the strangest thing is that next to the Pumpkin Boss 3 file there is another, very short file called Core Fragment. Its weight is only a couple of kilobytes, but for some reason the words fusion, dark energy, and mask are mentioned in it. Perhaps these are just official terms, or maybe they are the key to understanding how to summon this boss in the first place. Because it makes sense if the first two appeared after certain actions, for example, defeating someone or activating the weather on the map, and then this one, most likely, will appear only after fulfilling a whole chain of conditions. And that's where the guesses begin. The first thing that comes to mind is that Pumpkin Boss 3 appears only when a hidden trigger related to the weather and time is triggered in the game. Perhaps you need to start the dark forest at night, turn on the rain and leave the game running for 10 minutes without touching the characters. Who knows, maybe it will appear because the game feels that you have been on the map for too long. And now pay attention, I advise you to watch the video to the end, because it is towards the end that I will show you something that can prove that all this is real and not just a theory. If you leave now, you will miss the most important moment where I will explain why this new boss is needed at all. After all, perhaps Pumpkin Boss 3 is not an enemy, but something like a test that must be passed to unlock a new mode or secret achievement. After all, there is already a Pumpkin Slayer file, and who said that this is the latest achievement? Maybe it's just an intermediate one, and then something like Pumpkin Ascended will appear, where your character turns into a half-giant pumpkin. And if you think about it, it fits perfectly into the general idea of the Halloween update. Everything that used to be alive becomes mechanical, improved, mutated. Perhaps the game itself shows us that the era of ordinary bosses is over, and now we are waiting for cybernetic versions of everything we knew. And here's another interesting point. Pumpkin Boss 3, judging by the description in the code, has several phases. Not as separate files Pumpkin Boss 1 and Pumpkin Boss 2, but right inside the same code are written Phaseone, Facetwo, and Final Phase. This may mean that now the battle with him will take place without reloading the map. Everything will happen right in the same arena, and he will gradually change before our eyes. Now imagine that during a fight he breaks down, his mask cracks, wires start glowing from inside, and the more you hit him, the stronger he becomes. And what if at this moment a hidden scale appears that does not show health, but rather the level of infection, and if it fills up, then you turn into a copy of it? It sounds crazy, but that's how the secret mechanics of Melon Playground work. At first it seems like everything is simple, and then it turns out that every detail makes sense. But take your time to turn off the video, because next I'll show you a theory that can explain what needs to be done to activate this boss, and maybe you can repeat it at home. This is the most important part, so be sure to watch it to the end. Do not rewind, because at the end I will show footage that can confirm that Pumpkin Boss 3 is ready to appear in the game. And now that I've put it all together, it becomes obvious that Pumpkin Boss 3 really exists. I'm not making anything up. Its name actually appeared in the game files, and now everyone is trying to figure out exactly how to call it. No codes, no hidden triggers, all we have is a name, and a lot of guesses. And here's the most interesting thing. If you remember how the previous bosses appeared, everything was logical. The first was called through the rain, the second appeared after defeating the first. But now there are no clues. Maybe Pumpkin Boss 3 is related to other conditions, such as the time of day or the number of consecutive wins. Who knows? Maybe it can only be triggered at night when the map is dark, or if you complete the entire minigame without a single damage. And the strangest thing is that no player has yet been able to prove otherwise. Now attention! If you watch the video to the end, I'll show you a frame where you can see a strange flicker against the background of the dark forest, which appears after defeating Little Pumpkin. Perhaps it is at this moment that the game is preparing for the appearance of the next boss. It's just that he is not active yet. It can be either a preparatory stage, or just an Easter egg that no one noticed. But what's for sure is that it's not a coincidence. And now the main question is, if Pumpkin Boss 3 does appear, what will it be like? It is logical to assume that he will be a mixture of the previous two, a cracked pumpkin with metal inserts, capable of attacking like an ordinary boss and shooting like a cyborg. Or maybe he'll have a special ability, like summoning little pumpkins to help him in battle. This would explain why there are so many files related to mini pumpkins in the game, and maybe they are not separate NPCs, but part of his attacks. And now the most important thing is that I want you to watch this video to the end. Because at the very end I will show you a frame in which you can notice something very unusual at the moment when the inscription "Look for the boss" appears. I don't want to spoil it, but it could really change everything we thought about the secrets of this update. Seriously, don't rewind, just watch it to the end. And be sure to write in the comments what you think will actually be Pumpkin Boss 3 and what you can get for his victory. Because I am sure that it is in the comments that the correct guess may appear. And if we put all the versions together, then maybe in the next video I'll show you how to activate the real third fight. So don't leave. The most interesting things are ahead, and if you're still watching, just know that you're one of those who really understands Melon Playground, and maybe you'll be the first to learn how to get the last boss.